Welcome back, y'all. It's another episode of the Draft Nerds podcast, and we are just under 40 minutes away from the 2024 NFL Draft, and I'm joined by none other. Y'all know who he is, that boy Gowie. What's up, man?
Hey, what's good with everybody, man? You know, I'm out here semi excited for the draft. I don't know what to expect, so it's kind of I'm just walking blindly into this, but I'm definitely interested to see how everything plays out. I got a few athletes on the board that I like that I want to see where they land, so we gonna see, man. But
Yes,
other than that, I'm cool.
Yes, sir. Listen, man. Hey, look, always repping Baltimore. You see, got the Orioles, you know what I'm saying? Ravens, always representing the home team. And man, so much going on this offseason with the Ravens. Anybody who knows you knows that you are a diehard Ravens fan.
Mm-hmm.
And let's start there, right? Let's start where have you been a Ravens fan all your life? I know you're from Baltimore, and how did you become a Ravens fan?
Yeah, so originally, so I'm gonna be completely honest on here. You my mans, I'm gonna be completely honest on here.
All right.
I first got into football like late. I ain't gonna say late in my life, but soon as when I started hitting like the double digits, you feel me? Like when we won the first Super Bowl, that was when it was like, okay, bet, like we got a football team. The football team is successful, blah, blah, blah. So that was kind of like my real introduction to the Ravens. Now, prior to that, I had my little Ravens jerseys, but like how your parents gave you jerseys growing up, but you ain't really know who the people was, why you had the jersey on. But I think once I watched that Super Bowl game and I went to we was actually downtown after the Super Bowl. So, it was chaos down there. Everybody wilding, honking their horns, all that stuff, people hanging out the sunroof. And I really just liked the vibe of that. That's kind of what made me gravitate to the Ravens initially. But then like after that, after that, it was just Ravens everything. Like there was a little point where I did like the Falcons in the NFC, just like I had like an AFC and partially an NFC team because Michael Vick, that was my favorite, quarterback and all that. So between that and then, the Vick thing went down, the Falcons started talking crazy, and I was like, man, forget the Falcons, man. So that's how that played out.
Man, so bro, I've been a big fan of yours, man, for years. Didn't even know you was on Twitter like that. I first came across you on YouTube, and I was like, oh man, we got this. We got a comedian dude who's a Ravens fan. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm definitely tapping in with him because he's funny, but he also he know ball, right? You do your little segment videos where you'll be breaking down either the Ravens or the NBA, but you'll do it with your own comedic spin on it. Well, how long? Like, when did you know you was funny, right? And the second question is, you are super popular. Social media influencer, comedian, just well-rounded individual. So when did you know that you was funny, right? Like when did you know that this was something you wanted to do? And then what made you tie the sports angle to it? Because no one else was doing that. So that was kind of fire. So those two questions.
So to answer your question, the funny thing, I feel like that's something that's been like my whole life type thing. Like as a kid, you grow up, one of the difficult things growing up is kind of making friends. You feel me?
Yeah.
And I felt like for me, it was kind of seamless because it was like, if all else fails, like people gonna realize I'm funny. And that was the one thing that always like people will always say about me. One thing people always knew about me. So like that's always just been my personality. I've always been goofy, funny, just doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff to make people laugh. As far as tying sports into my content, what a lot of people don't know is that I actually went to school because I wanted to be a sports journalist initially. I looked up to the Stuart Scotts and even the Stephen A. Smiths and those type of dudes growing up, and I was like, yo, I used to watch ESPN News every day after school, middle school at that. So I really wanted to do that. So long story short, going to school, wanting to be a sports journalist, writing for the school newspaper, different things like that. And then eventually, when I blew up from the LeBron challenge, I was like, okay, I blew up from a semi-basketball related video. And I was like, what if I tie sports into this? What if I start doing sports commentary, different things like that? Shout out to my dog, Famous Los, because he did inspire me to do the sports commentary videos. So after that, it was kind of just like boom, like one thing led to another, and that's really how it sparked up.
Oh, that's lit, bro. That's lit. And listen, I think I speak for everybody out there. We glad you decided to do it because, listen, I always say it's enough going on out in the world. We all need to laugh. We all need to smile.
Most definitely.
So last year, there was this big discussion on social media, Twitter specifically, about Lamar Jackson contract. You were one of the loudest fans on Twitter about that situation, about Lamar Jackson, about him deserving to be paid. I guess my question is, why was you so passionate about that situation? And do you feel like Lamar is unfairly treated when you talk about the quarterback position in the NFL?
Yeah, so I think my passion for Lamar Jackson really stems from being able to see talent and understanding that there's an unfair criticism. Like there's a lot of unfairness around Lamar Jackson. Like if we want to be like talk about totality, you look at a franchise quarterback. What do you want in a franchise quarterback? You want a guy who's dominant. Lamar Jackson is that. You want a guy who's, poised in those big moments, different things like that. Lamar Jackson has been that. You want a guy who is a leader. Lamar Jackson is that. You want a guy who has a great, a great off-field presence. Lamar Jackson has that. So it's like everything that people want in a franchise quarterback, Lamar Jackson is that. But then for some reason, he don't get that same love as, let's say a Patrick Mahomes or whatever. Now, obviously, now when we look at it, Patrick Mahomes is in a class of his own. The man he just keeps running up these championships. But if we're just talking about in totality, a guy who possesses all those traits that you want in a franchise quarterback, that's what you want. And then on top of that, dude just have a great personality. Like he's one of the most thoughtful people, one of the most down to earth people. He'll do, shout you out. He'll do whatever. I've had interactions with him in the DMs, different things like that. So it's like he's just a great overall person. So when you see the crazy stuff that people say about him, or they try to downplay his talent when the numbers are there and different things like that, it's like, what are we doing? So you get a combination of that. And then on top of that, Baltimore just never had a player like him, bro. Like
never.
We've had Ray Lewis, we've had Ed Reed, we had those type of guys, and that's great, but it's always been defense. Offense, we ain't never seen nothing like this. We never thought we'd have a two-time MVP. We never thought that we'd have a dude that was just so dynamic. And like at the time when he first came in, it was like the second coming to Mike Vick, but now it's kind of like Lamar Jackson's in the class of his own. So it's like,
yeah, he passed Vick now.
You feel me? So I'm like,
he never won an MVP, not along a two-time MVP. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And one time unanimous, damn near two times. So when you talk about a Lamar Jackson, it's kind of like, bro, like this is something that we've never seen. So when we had that conversation, and it was kind of like, oh yeah, we can just let him walk, and oh yeah, Tyler Huntley can do it, and it's like, all right. Like it's like,
all right, y'all. Y'all just doing the most now.
And then sometimes I just really be tripping, like, yo, do y'all not see what the rest of us see? Like I've never seen like one dude who just has so much impact on our team. And a lot of it goes unnoticed because people don't see him as the traditional QB. And I get it. But people think that he's a guy that you can just look at the box score and you'll get your final answer. And it's like, nah, you got to watch the game, see how he extend plays. You got to see how, he makes crazy backyard passes and clutch moments and just different things like that. So long story short, man, I just feel like Lamar Jackson just gets like he doesn't get treated how he should be treated. I don't know what it's about. It could be anything, but I just think that now I think people are more appreciative of him. We still got to get over that hump. AFC Championship wasn't bad. But we definitely got to at least get to a bowl. And once you get to that bowl, you got to win it at that point. Because if we get to the Super Bowl and lose, bro, I ain't going to be no good. I ain't going to be no good.
Yeah, so. Bro, for sure. So, like, let's talk about one. We just talked about one, like, athletic, one legend. Let's go to another one. You recently put out a video about Caitlin Clark. And some of the criticism that she gets. why do you think she gets so much hate for a person who, to be honest, is bringing a lot of attention to the women's game? You would think she would be more embraced and more appreciated, but it's kind of the opposite. Why do you think that is? And expand on your video that you posted when you was talking about that situation.
Yeah, so I think it's two sides to it. So there's one side that comes from the players. So if you a WNBA player, women's basketball player, like I can understand why you feel some type of animosity towards Caitlin Clark is because like, yo, we've been doing this, we've been laying down the foundation, like we kind of brought this up, and now you have this new girl, and even though she's exciting, she's impressive, she's done a lot, people are trying to rule her as the GOAT now, and it's like, damn, like she ain't even get to the pros yet, like y'all trying to reward her for something that she hasn't done yet. So from a player's mindset, I can understand as a veteran who's played years and won championships, like I can see that. But from a fan perspective, that's where it gets weird to me, because it's like, yo, Caitlin Clark wouldn't be as big as she is if it wasn't for the fan engagement. And I think that's what a lot of people try to overlook. It's like, I understand people want to play, you know, the race card or whatever the case may be. And it's like, I get it. Like you want your black players who have carried the WNBA all the way up to this point to get their shine. But I think for me, I think it's kind of disingenuous to act like they didn't. Like, like growing up, yo, we didn't give it, like, with all due respect to the ladies out there, we didn't care about women's basketball until like Lisa Leslie came in and she was dunking. And it was like, oh, hold on, like we might be on to something. When we used to watch our shows like in the 90s, like the people who made cameos were WNBA players. Like, so it's like they had sneaker deals back then, Cheryl Swoops, like, so it's like they did get their just due, but it's like now that this is the social media era and the NIL era, to where these chicks are coming in already working with these big brands. Now you have to think about it from a marketing standpoint. If I'm a brand investing in a player, I want to know that I can get a lot of money in my return.
Facts.
So who has the biggest name in college basketball? And this ain't even just women's. We talking about college basketball, period. Caitlin Clark has the biggest name out of college basketball right now. So it's like, that's where I'm investing my money. So people trying to disregard and ignore that part. And it's like, I get that you want to push your narrative. I get that y'all want to do this whole fake woke thing, but we just got to be honest and look at it and be like, bro, Shorty just her name is just hot right now. And when it's hot, you gotta feed it. Like, that's really what it is. But I think that when it just comes to Kate, like, I think it's those two things. The players, once again, I understand their perspective is like, you know, when you come to my league, I'm gonna humble you. That's always been the case when it comes to these prodigies. But once again, from a fan perspective, we don't even get to this point. We don't even get to Caitlin Clark being who she is as a brand without us actually reacting to her highlights and reacting to her play and actually tuning into her games. So, you know, we got to blame ourselves.
Yeah, and you was there at the Final Four National Championship,
bro.
Like, what was that like seeing her in person? What was that, bro?
Like? I'm trying to tell you, like, because people don't really get, like, when you see it on TV, it's just like being at the bank, right? When you go to the bank, when you watch it on TV, it's one thing. It's like, okay, I'm watching the game. When you there, it's like, nah, you gotta feel the energy. You gotta feel, you know, the cheers and all that other stuff. It's a different type of energy when you're there. So when I was at the Final Four, when I tell you, it felt like we was in Des Moines, Iowa, like it was loud. Whether Iowa had the ball or not, it was defense chants or it was cheering for the offense. And it's like, bro, it really feel like we in Iowa right now. Like, that's how many people she done brought out. They had an open practice. You know, the Ravens, they have like an open practice every year. And even in the Ravens open practices, there's rarely people that's all the way up in the nosebleeds. Like, Caitlin Clark had people in the nosebleeds packing it out. And I'm like, yo, this is a different type of stuff that I've never seen before. And this is women's basketball, bro. Like, not even trying to be shady, but this is women's basketball. And she got people packed out in the nosebleeds. So, long story short, watching Caitlin Clark in person, she's that, like, the playmaking ability. And I think that's her most underrated trait, is her ability to play make. And I think a lot of people are looking at her scoring and they're waiting to say, oh, she's a bust when she doesn't score 30 points in a W. But it's like, nah, pay attention to those assists. Her and Aaliyah Boston, they're gonna be running that pick and roll. She she gonna eat on them assists. So definitely look at Caitlin Clark at the next level, not just as a scorer, but also how she facilitates. So
that's gonna be crazy.
Excited, man. She excited.
It's gonna be crazy. I tell people all the time, I'm an Indiana Fever fan now, bro. Like, listen, I didn't have a favorite WNBA team, but I do now.
Yeah,
right. And I'm a casual, but listen, I'm watching now, and Caitlin Clark is a big reason. I can't even hold you. Like, it is what it is. You call me whatever you want. Yeah, I'm a casual. I'm proud of it. I'm an Indiana Fever fan now. I just got my WNBA League pass, so I'm gonna be watching. And this is good, man. It's just like, we cannot keep complaining and saying, well, why are the women not getting paid more if we're not watching, if we're not buying tickets, if we're not buying merch, right? Like, we can't keep saying they deserve something that we're not trying to participate in or to support. So that's just the way it is. Fans, like, I know some fans say it and it comes across as like arrogant when you hear fans say, well, we pay your salary. Well, if we're being honest, fans do pay your salary, because if fans do not show up, if they don't buy season passes and tickets and all this, then no one's getting paid. Right. You know what I'm saying? No one's getting paid. So I'm loving the attention that the WNBA is getting, and I hope it continues. I hope that the next, it's just a start to me. You got Caitlin, you got Angel Reese, you got some of the girls that came out this year, but then you got Juju Watkins coming down the pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, it's only Flau'jae is coming. It's only going to get better, man. And I just hope we all stay locked in. I'm hoping this is a movement and not a moment. I really do. I hope it's a movement and not a moment. And
that's not that. I want to say that's kind of why I feel like the game is in good hands right now, because like the Caitlin Clark thing, the Angel Reese thing, even just that little feud really sparked people to want to watch women's basketball. So while we're watching women's basketball, we get to watch the Paige Beckers and we get to watch the Juju Watkins and the Malaysias. So it's like, when you watch them now, some of these girls are freshmen, sophomores now. So it's like, dang, I could actually watch her journey. And I think that's what the WNBA was missing. The WNBA was missing players that you can actually become a fan of before they get to the pros.
Right.
We were fans of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese before they went to the pros. That's why we watched the draft. And now that you have this, I think that, this is what's going to make the game what it needs to be for the next gen.
Yeah, I mean, what you're talking about is investment, right? So the reason why the NFL is so popular is because people are invested, right?
1,000%.
The reason why tonight is such a big night is because this is an investment. You've invested in this team. So the draft picks, everything they do, every move they make, free agency, everything is they care. Fans care about it, right? And that's one thing you want. You want in business, you want the people to care about your product.
Mm-hmm.
If you're invested in they care. Yeah, they might be passionate. Yeah, they might be critical, but they care. Yeah. And the one thing you don't want is them to stop caring. You know what I'm saying? So I just love it, man. So to stay on basketball real quick, man. If you follow Gowie, he loves his Houston Rockets.
Yes, sir.
So I need to know how you become a Houston Rockets fan. Like, where did that come from? And how you think what's the future of the Rockets?
All right, so to answer that question, I feel like, since I'm assuming there's a lot of people from Maryland or Baltimore area watching this, it started with Steve Francis. Steve Francis went to the University of Maryland. He was the first person. Like, I was alive during the Michael Jordan era. I was bullsed out and everything. Parents hooked me up. But I wasn't really watching Bulls like that or Michael Jordan.
Not in real time, right?
Yeah, you feel me? So it was like it was more. I was bluffing for real when it came to the Jordan stuff. But the first person where I watched him and I was like, nah, like he's cool. Like I want to follow him. It was Steve Francis. Steve Francis. He had the handles. He wasn't that tall. He was probably 6 feet. He dunking. You feel me? Doing the between the legs dunks and all that. And I was like, nah, he tough. So I followed him to the NBA. Obviously, he got drafted by Vancouver. He wasn't feeling Vancouver. They traded him to Houston. And then once Houston decided to trade him, I was like, yo, I already love the team. Like, I love all the players that's on the team from whoever, whether it was, Stromile Swift or Katino Mobley or whoever. It was like, I like these guys.
I haven't heard of them.
So, So it was like, yo, like I like the team. And then on top of that, we was getting T-Mac in return. So I was like, oh, and we getting T-Mac? Oh, yeah. Franchise, you still one of my favorites, but, you know, I'm a Houston Rockets fan.
Yao Ming. You know
Come on now.
I thought Stevie and Yao Ming was going to do something.
It was a point where I was calling myself Gao Ming. Come on now. It's deep. It's deep, man.
Hey, bro, I love it, man. Like, it's always interesting to hear the stories about how people became a fan of it, because it lets you know that we all come from different places. We all walk a different journey, but a lot of times it leads to the same place, right? Yeah. Like, we are both Ravens fans, but how we became Ravens fans is different. My journey is different than your journey, right? But I love it because the one thing we do have in common is we love the Ravens, right? And then from that point, we engage in conversation. We realize, oh, we got a lot more in common than I thought. And that's how, you know, I think sports brings people together more than anything in this world, because regardless of your religious beliefs, regardless of your political beliefs, sports is the one thing we can all agree on. You know what I'm saying? We can all agree on sports, you know, and I think that's just a beautiful thing. So to wrap up the basketball conversation, what's your pick for the NBA Finals? Who's the two teams and who wins it all? Give me your prediction.
Man, listen, Denver looks scary, bro. Like, I knew that they had a good chance, but what they be doing to Bron and AD, I'm just like, bro, like, Denver really that? Like, it's like, you know, you see a season, and usually I think in the NBA, to a certain degree, I feel like the window in the NBA closes faster than NFL. I think with the NFL, if you a solid team, you can find yourself at the top again. But I feel like in the NBA, like, you may be able to get one, you may be able to make another close run, but chances are, if you get that one championship, you might be done. Like, you might be done for some time. Yeah. But I'm just looking at Denver, and it's just like, nah, they still intact. Jokic is just that dude. And, you know, Jamal Murray, he hitting clutch shots, so he doing what he do best. It's just like, yo, they are just a complete team right now, and I think they make it back to the finals. Now, from the East gets tricky because every single year, and I mean every year, bro, I be wanting to bet on the Celtics, because I just be like, yo, JT, JB, they go and get it done one of these years, and they always add a piece. The piece helps them get a little bit further, but then they just always fizzle out. So,
bro, tell me the Celtics don't remind you of the Ravens.
They do. Yo, they do. Because every single year we find ourselves like, yo, we got the squad to get it now. Like,
we finna do it this year. They got the stars. They add a piece every offseason. Derrick Henry, OBJ last year. They add a piece. Now. They get a little bit further, but they don't get over the hump, bro. Telling you, the Celtics, Ravens, bro.
And the only bad thing with the Celtics compared to the Ravens is that at least with us, it's one and done. It ain't no coming back. Celtics, you got seven games, you know, minimum to be able to get straight. So it's like, bro,
I mean, you really lost.
Yeah, you really lost. Like, it was lost. Like, taking one L, it could have just been that person's day. Like, that was just the day all the shots was falling. I was like, nah, you lost 4 times, brother. Like, it's right. Man, GG.
Like, we know who better. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we know who better in that situation. So Denver is so scary, bro. And Bron is my guy, right? So me and Bron are the same age. We were in high school at the same exact time. So I identify with him the most of any player, because it's like, I was actually comparing my life. I'm like, dang, bro. Me and Bron, both the seniors in high school, but this dude driving a damn Range Rover to school, and me, I'm catching the bus. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference when you're 6'8" and you can jump out the gym. You know what I'm saying? You get privileges.
Yeah.
You know, he hit the gene pool jackpot, right? Like, so it is what it is. But I was like, man, bro, Bron, people will say, well, he didn't have as many championships when his career is over as Jordan. But, like, Bron had to get it the hard way, bro. Like, Bron had to go through – first he had to get over the big three Celtics in the East, Kevin Garnett and those guys, right? Then, you know, the Pistons became a thing, right? With Ben Wallace and all those boys, right? He had to get through them, right? Then he finally took over the East. He dominated in the East. right? And then he got smacked by the Spurs in his first finals, right? They got swept, right? But then you think about, okay, he went to Miami. He finally got over the Celtics. They finally got some consistency with the championships. He goes to he goes to back to Cleveland, and then his nemesis is the Warriors. The you know what I'm saying, the dynasty Warriors, right? Where he got one, he snuck one in here and there, but they really was winning the majority of them, right? Especially once they got KD. I mean not KD, man. And right now, you go to LA and you think, oh yeah, him and AD, they finna run a show. And then now Denver, right? Now Denver has built this monstrosity of a basketball team, and now you got to get through that. And I just think like Braun, for people who say that Braun had it easy, I don't think so. I think if you really, and he won't be appreciated fully until his career is over. But like, bro, he had to go through some really good teams to get his rings. It wasn't just no cakewalk, right? And like you said earlier, dynasties close, or not dynasties, but like NBA windows close. Because if I would have told you during the COVID bubble league, right, or the bubble, NBA bubble, that would be the last time the Lakers, you know what I mean, are like in the finals competing for a championship, you'd have been like, hell no. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were like, they're going to continue to do this, right? But in the meantime, in between time, you know, Denver built up their championship team, and they don't look like they're going nowhere no time soon.
And that's the thing, it starts with one. And I think that's the crazy part with basketball, because this is different from football. Football, you need at least 11 dudes, bro. Whether it's on both sides, like, you need at least 11 dudes to really have like a solid foundation. You can't just put one dude out there and then everything just works out. Like, even though we champion Pat Mahomes, it's like, you know, Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, you had some dudes on defense. Like, you need at least 11 solid dudes. With basketball, you just need that one. And once you get that one, you can really build around him. And then, you know, based on that, that's when things start to work out. So, like, that's why a lot of teams struggle to find their fit, because you're trying to find players that fit the player that you're trying to build around. So somebody like Luka Doncic can score at will. Like, you put him on any basketball court in this world, he's scoring 40. But the thing is, he don't have a championship right now, because it's like, what are the best pieces I could put around him to fit his style of play, to make sure that he's still comfortable? I don't take him out of his game, because if I take him out of his game, then, you know, we kind of back at square one. So that's the thing about basketball. Once again, you lose that one player, you may not win ever again. Like, look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. Every single team LeBron James then left. You feel me? The Miami Heat, they kept Eric Spoelstra, so he's a great coach.
Right.
They kept Eric Spoelstra, so they've been able to do some outstanding stuff with the talent that they've had. But the Cleveland Cavaliers, like, they just started to get back into winning now that they got Evan Mobley and Darius Garland and those dudes. So it's like, it took some time.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, one dude could lead the team and everything is just in shambles.
Crazy, bro. So how much baseball do you watch? Are you an O's fan? You tapped in with the O's?
I ain't gonna say fair weather, but I'm gonna say I'm more of a casual baseball fan, because I enjoy watching baseball at the games. I'm not too interested or invested on TV, because I get sleepy for real. I ain't gonna lie to you.
It's too long. 9 innings is way too long for me, bro. Like, let me see the highlights after the game, and I'm gonna rock the O's. I'm gonna wear the hat. I'm gonna wear the jersey, the colors, but don't ask me to sit through 9 innings, bro.
and once again, it's not timed. So I remember
playoff time for sure.
I remember I was watching. I can't remember if it was a World Series or something, but I was watching, and they just kept going into extra innings, and I was like, bro, this game long as hell. Like, I can't do this.
A game could go on for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, bro, all night. You like, yo. Ain't that much baseball in the world. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I can't watch that much baseball, bro. So all right. So to tie back to your Ravens, bro. Man, you know, our wide receivers thing has been an issue for a long time, bro.
Yeah.
And they just extended Rashad Bateman yesterday, and you know, that's obviously there's a big conversation, you know, on social media about Rashad Bateman. Some love him, some hate him, some indifferent. Yeah. Do you think it was the right move to extend Bateman? And what do you think about Bateman up to this point, as far as he's picked in the first round, and we are where we are right now? Like, so I guess the first question is, do you agree with the extension?
I think, me personally, I'm not mad at the extension based on whatever the details of the contract are. I think that's what's really going to decide how we feel about it as fans, because like from the rumors I've heard that it's a 3-year, $5 to $6 million annual contract. Now, if that's the case, then I feel like, EDC finesse, because if I'm not mistaken, his 5th-year option alone would have been $15 million. So it's like you stretch that $15 million over 3 years. So it's like, I can see it from that perspective. So if that's the actual contract, and at the most it's $18 million contract, I think that we did the right thing by stretching out his contract and extending Rashad Bateman, because you get somebody who's already been in the system. Him and Lamar don't have that chemistry, but at least you know that he can get open. So at some point, them shots are gonna have to fall. You feel me? Now, that aside, we talk about the chemistry. That's where things get iffy. And this is where, my stance was with Rashad Bateman. Now, I know that he has his fans and his stands, and they make it seem like anytime you say anything critical about Rashad Bateman, you hating on him. But everything that I said about Rashad Bateman has been football related. And the reason I was big on the pivoting from him was because you got two options. You got a wide receiver who at the time was on the last year of his deal, and you have a quarterback who's signed to a $260, $80 million contract. So if you had to sacrifice one and move on, who are you moving on from? The quarterback or the wide receiver?
The receiver.
So I'm like, if the chemistry isn't there, we not getting rid of our quarterback, bro. Like, and I want people the people that's watching this, I really want y'all to dissect the Rashad Bateman numbers from last season, because a lot of people have this, he wasn't targeted enough and this, that, and the third. And I feel like y'all are so focused on the targets and him getting open, but you're not looking at the numbers of when Lamar tried to throw him the ball. Bro, whenever Lamar Jackson targeted Rashad Bateman, his passer rating was 60.6. Now, I don't know about y'all, but if our starting quarterback had a passing rating of 60.6 for the season, he losing his job, bro. He got to go. Like, I'd rather eat the cap penalty at that point, because 60.6. So you telling me that
that's Flacco? That's Flacco. Flacco was 60.6. That's what he was at. He was dancing in the 60s.
See, and I be trying to tell people, I'm like, like, if your passer rating is 60.6 when you target this dude, but when you pass into the other receivers, it's 90, 100, like 80, like that's the numbers that you want. So when people say, he wasn't targeted, it's like he was targeted, but things was just tragic on that side. And not to mention, if I'm not mistaken, it was either 3 or 4 of Lamar's 7 interceptions last year were targets to Bateman. Now, whether they were Bateman's fault or not is besides the point. The chemistry just wasn't there. So once again, when I speak about Rashad Bateman, it's from a football perspective. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at the chemistry. I'm looking at the fit. And for me, I'm looking like, bro, it just don't work. Like Lamar with every single person.
If you look at it this way, okay, Bateman been on this team for 3 years,
bro.
We've seen Hollywood have instant connection with Lamar. We've seen Zay Flowers as a rookie come in this year and have instant connection with Lamar. We see Andrews. We see Likely. We see Nelson Aguilar, who's a journeyman, come in and have a connection.
Hey, hold on real quick. Not even just a journeyman, somebody that had a bad rep coming to the Ravens.
He did. Bad reputation. Yep.
Bro,
and all this stuff. Yep. Bro, so it's like, go ahead.
I'm about to say, out of his targets and his receptions, he only had 10 incompletions. Throwing to Nelson Aguilar. But go ahead and further.
No, I was going to say, I feel like, okay, I get Odell being ahead of you because they paid him a lot of money. So you got to follow the money, right? Like they ain't paid $15 million for nothing. They gonna get their money. You know what I'm saying? And then Zay is a first round pick, whatever. But you a first round pick too, okay? But there's no way Aguilar, Odell, and Zay outperform you when you played 16 games last year.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
So that's my whole thing is, I said this early, and I said, look, I stand on everything I said about Bateman because everything I said about Bateman was about football. I don't know the man. I would never attack the man. I would never criticize the man because I don't know the man. But I'm gonna talk about the athlete. I'm gonna talk about the wide receiver because that's all I know. And what I know is it's been 3 years and there's no chemistry between you and QB1. All right. What I do know is that last year you seemed to be distracted or your confidence was shot. The drop touchdown in the end zone against Pittsburgh comes to mind. The bad route against Tennessee when we played in London, it led to an interception. Right? The lack of production in the AFC Championship game. It felt like Zay Flowers was the only wide receiver we had in that AFC Championship game because he was the only one making plays and getting open. Yep. Right now, everybody wants to say Bateman is always open. He's always open. But then, then if he's always open, then we need to figure out why Lamar doesn't trust him. Yeah, that's the next question, right? And so I agree with everything you said. I know that if Bateman succeeds, great. I don't think anyone on Ravens flock is hoping he fails. Right, because I keep hearing this. Well, when he blow up, don't come back. No, because if he blow up, that means the Ravens doing good. You know what I'm saying? So why would I be mad about that?
But once again, I feel like that's the stand culture that we in, bro. Like, and I get it. People when their favorite players get talked about, they feel like they have to overly defend. And we do the same thing with Lamar. Like, y'all already know I slide for Lamar no matter what's going on. But at the same time, I can also be honest about Lamar Jackson. Like, I was in disputes with people on the timeline when he the 49ers game when he ran in the end zone and he fumbled or whatever. I was like, yo, that's a bad play. Like, you don't do that. And everybody was making excuses. I'm just like, bro, no matter what, he got
hit with a safety. It was a safety.
Yeah, that's what it was. A safety. Yeah. And it's like, yo, no matter whatever excuse you trying to give, you don't run the opposite way, bro. Like, at least don't run into your end zone. Like, that's a no under any circumstance. But
that's football 101. Never run backwards.
That's what I'm saying. So it's okay to be honest about your favorite players. And it's like, if you're banking on hope and you feel like they're going to break out, that's fine. Right. But at the same time, I feel like fans be doing their players a disservice because when it comes to Bateman, every single week last year, I'm talking every single week, the breakout is here. This is the week. This is the week it's going to happen.
That's the one, right? Yeah.
It's the one. This is the breakout year. And it's like, when it don't happen, then y'all look at us when we the bad guys because we like, bro, where the production at?
We being honest, right? We just being honest and objective, right? Like, it's nothing wrong with being listen, I always tell people this. I'm a Ravens fan first, right? Straight up. And everything else is secondary to that. I want to see the players perform. And the higher you get picked, i.e. draft night, the greater the expectation. If you was a third round pick, like, fourth round pick like Tylan Wallace, no one would care. I don't see nobody talking about Tylan Wallace on the timeline. I don't see nobody. You feel me? I don't see nobody talking about, Charlie Kolar in the fourth round, right? No, we talking about Bateman, Flowers. We was talking about Hollywood when he was here. The first round picks gotta perform because those are the guys that you're banking on. If you miss a first round pick, it sets you back 2-3 years because now you got to go. All right, always go back to Patrick Queen. Yeah. Patrick Queen was picked in the first round. Yeah. Patrick Queen did not live up to expectations, which caused the Ravens to have to go out and spend money and trade draft capital on Roquan, right? So basically you ended up having to double down on this position because you missed in the first round, right? Or the guy didn't perform, right? Yeah. So now let's say Patrick Queen would have came out, played to expectations, did what he's supposed to do. Now you never ever have to give up that second round pick to get Roquan, and you won't have to give that $100 million contract to Roquan, right? But because Patrick Queen didn't do what he was supposed to do, now cause and effect. Same thing with Bateman. We drafted Bateman in the first round. Bateman didn't do what he was supposed to do. Now we gotta go give OBJ $15 million. Yep. Right? It's cause and effect. When the first round pick does not perform to standard, it causes the team to have to go and spend more investments and more capital and more cap space on the same position. Yep. When they could take that money and put it elsewhere, right? But you forced them in that situation. So, yeah, man, I just feel like there's nothing wrong with being critical of your players. It's not, you're not a hater, because you're critical. You are just saying, look, first round picks are expected to perform, and when they don't, hey, they're gonna catch the smoke just like everybody else. I said this earlier in the space. I said that Bateman really wasn't on my radar as far as criticism until last year when he called out the GM on social media. Yeah. To me, I felt like it was the right message, but the wrong messenger. Right. Yeah. And I felt like, all right, if you're gonna talk that talk, you better walk that walk. You better walk that walk. You know, and you can't come out and get 278 yards for the whole season. You know, what did you think about that before we get out of here? Like when he spoke out about EDC, like was you like me when you was like, all right, if you're gonna say that, then you.
Well, to be honest with you, like me, so and this goes across sports. So like for me, it's not even about that. For me, it's kind of just like a year 3 thing. My mindset is rookie year, you learning the game. I have nothing to say. However it plays out, that's how it plays out. Second year, you got a little bit more experience under your belt. You just got to be a little bit better than what you was the previous year. Year 3, I'm looking for you to be like, all right, well, now I'm here. This is where I start to make the turn. So whether that's basketball, whether that's football, I keep that same mindset across sports. So rookie year, I ain't going to say a word. Second year, I ain't going to say a word to say you need to tweak these little things. But third year, that's where it's like, bro, you got 2 years under your belt. Now it's time to show us who you are. And that's kind of my mindset. So when Bateman said what he said about EDC, I wasn't tripping because at that time, I understood where Bateman was coming from because, you know, our wide receiver situation, it seemed like they were always receiving blame for things. But at the same time, it's like, bro, like we have to have, it's like, what we doing? So
I agree with the message. I just didn't like who it was coming from. That's all I was saying.
And that's definitely fair because, like, you know, Bateman, he was inactive, different things like that. So it's like that's why I just feel like he's such an interesting person because it's like I saw the potential. I felt like Bateman was the receiver we needed in that draft. Like when I saw that draft, I was like, Rashad Bateman is the one that I want. And I can pull up old tweets that say that. So it's like that's the receiver I wanted. But then you get the injuries, and it's like, okay, unfortunate. And then last year, once again, you get year 3, and it's like, damn, bro, like you got outplayed by everybody, like every single person. Isaiah Likely stepped in for Mark Andrews mid-season, and he had more receptions than you, bro. Like, and once you say it goes back to trust, and it's like, why doesn't Lamar trust him? And once again, when your passer rating is 60.6, throwing in his direction. I'm not trying to take that chance, bro. Like, I'm not trying to 60.6 pass rating and 3 or 4 interceptions. Nah, bro.
And then look, and this morning he come out, he talking again, used the Drake video talking. It was funny. Yeah. But again, you painting that target on your back again because now every person who doubts you are going to say, all right, you're going to say that. Make sure you perform. Make sure you back it up. So.
And once again, it's not even one of those things like you rooting for him to fail, but it's like if you're going to talk, show us. Like, shut us up with your play. Like,
thank you. That's all I can say, bro. You're going to talk, back it up. All right, so look, they kicking it off. Commissioner Goodell is on my screen. Real quick, back against the wall. You know what I'm saying? You got EDC's ear right now. He listening to this podcast to see what Gowie got to say about what they should do tonight. Where do you think they should go with the first pick?
I ain't gonna hold you first pick, even though it's gonna be boring as hell. That from what I'm about to say, I feel like you got to go lineman. I feel like we sacrificed a lot of linemen. You got to get you a lineman, more specifically a tackle. I would prefer that. And once again, it's gonna be a boring night if that's the direction they go. But I'm willing to live with that and just make the rest of the draft exciting. So that's my answer.
You gotta protect Lamar, man. You gotta protect the investment.
You gotta protect.
Yeah, man. Because if Lamar don't finish the season, then we cooked anyway. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
On top of that, he dropped the weight, so he going. You found me. He dropped that weight. We gotta make sure we definitely protect him from the blind side. So.
Right, we got skinny Lamar back now. So, all right, real quick, man. Tell everybody where they can follow you at. What you got coming up? Anything, events, anything that people should be checking out about you? Like, let us know, man. This is your moment to plug whatever you want to plug. What you got?
So you can find me across all platforms at the Kid Gowie. That's DAKID and last name GOWIE. And you can find me on anything. That's TikTok, Instagram, wherever, Facebook, whatever you use for your main source of content. Definitely hit me up on there. Things that I have coming up, you already know I do a lot of stuff with the NBA. So I might pop out the summer league. out in Vegas. So that's going to be what I think in July, something like that. This space is so spontaneous. I might end up being somewhere next week and not even know it until next week. So that's one of the funny things about this, but it's always cool. But aside from that, stay tuned for the content. I will be posting frequently, obviously, depending on how this Ravens draft go. I might talk about the Ravens, but we're going to see. I don't like to speak prematurely after what happened in that AFC championship. So I'm trying to stay humble this year. You feel me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, look, man, after this draft, bro, I got to get you to come back on here so we can talk about the players we picked. Again, thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you. One of the busiest and best to do it out there. Make sure you following Gowie. Man, listen, he the GOAT, bro. Like, I'm telling you, when we talk about Ravens content creators, when you talking about content creators from Baltimore getting it out the mud, he one of them ones, y'all. He one of them ones. So, signing off from Draft Nerds, from your boy, Matt Gowie. Until next time, y'all. Peace.